6:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Lal Malavarachi and read by Lavani Vijayatunga. First, we take a look at the headlines. The President will visit India on Thursday. The President forego official events to celebrate the first anniversary in office. Aswasma welfare benefits will be paid within this month. DigiCon 2023 Digital Master Plan and Regulatory Policy Framework will take place from October to November. Applications for admission of students to Grade 1 for the year 2024 in state schools are accepted at present. In news overseas, landslides and floods in South Korea leave at least 26 dead and 10 missing. And in sports news, the first test of the two-test series between Pakistan and Sri Lanka will commence in Galle from today. Those are the headlines, and now let's move on to the details of the local news. President Ranil Wickremesinghe will visit India on the 20th of this month and will meet Prime Minister Narendra Modi on the 21st of July. He will witness the signing of 5 agreements that will have substantial impact on both countries. This will be President Wickremesinghe's first visit to India as a president after he replaced former leader Gotabaya Rajapaksa amid a major economic crisis in the country last year. The Sri Lankan president is also seeking individual meetings with the External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman and the National Security Advisor Ajit Doval. India will be the 6th country visited by President Wickremesinghe since he was sworn into power last July. Meanwhile, the president has reportedly decided to forego special ceremonies to celebrate his first anniversary in office as the head of state. Accordingly, he has given instructions to the respective officials not to organize any official events at the expense of the public in celebration of the first year of his appointment to office. State Minister of Finance Shahant Semasinghe says the government has increased the provisions spent on Aswasma welfare benefits this year. The first payment of the eligible candidates who have not received objections or appeals will be made within this month. The government has spent 144 billion rupees on welfare benefits last year, and as per the agreements of the IMF and the World Bank, Sri Lanka has agreed to spend a minimum of 187 billion rupees annually on welfare benefits. Meanwhile, the government expects to spend 206 billion rupees annually on Aswasma program. It has taken about 20 years to put in line a systematic and a transparent method to identify the underprivileged and those in need of welfare benefits, the state minister added. Out of the 982,770 appeals received thus far, significantly 650,000 appeals have been received by the individuals whose names are already published in the list. Calling applications to select 2024 Aswasma beneficiaries will commence from the 1st of August. Technology State Minister Kanaka Herath says DigiCon 2023 accelerates Sri Lanka's economy towards an inclusive digital economy by leveraging advanced technology-based solutions. The State Minister was participating in a press conference themed Collective Power Through a Stable Country at the Presidential Media Centre recently. It encompasses a digital master plan regulatory policy framework along with a series of annual events which will give direction and a gesture of the commitment of the government towards facilitating a digital ecosystem, he said. As the first milestone, DigiCon 2023 will take place from October to November, which will unveil the digital master plan and the regulatory policy framework for the country until the year 2030, in conjunction with a series of international conferences, symposiums and exhibitions accelerating digital transformation and fueling Digital Economy 2030. This is the news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. And we continue with more local news. The Education Ministry says that the instructions relating to the admission of students to Grade 1 for the year 2024 in state schools have been released and the applications are accepted at present. A specimen application form was published in the website www.moe.gov.lk. The ministry said parents or legal guardians who wished to enroll their children into grade 1 of government schools in the year 2024 should submit their applications prepared as per the specimen form and the instructions and send it to the relevant heads of the schools by registered post to reach them before the 18th of August this year. The government will permit the import of all goods excluding vehicles which were previously prohibited from being imported into Sri Lanka. The new policy will come into effect in the first week of September, allowing a broader range of goods into the country. The government arrived at this decision during a discussion last week. Chief of Staff Sagal Ratnayaka, officials from the Ministry of Finance and representatives from the International Monetary Fund participated in the meeting. Import restrictions have been lifted on 286 goods, allowing their importation into the country. However, the import ban on another 930 goods, including vehicles, will remain in effect, maintaining the previous restrictions on these items. However, certain categories of vehicles, such as tractors, are permitted to be imported depending on the farmers' requirements. And to conclude the local news, the headlines once again. The President will visit India on Thursday. The President to forego official events to celebrate the first anniversary in office. Aswasma welfare benefits will be paid within this month. Digicon 2023, the Digital Master Plan and Regulatory Policy Framework will come into place between October and November. Applications for admission of students to grade 1 for the year 2024 in state schools are accepted at present. And that was the local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The main news story for this morning, the Amnesty International has urged Sri Lanka to ensure access to adequate nutrition for all pregnant and breastfeeding women amidst the ongoing economic crisis in the country. At a research briefing, the rights group noted that falling incomes, loss of livelihoods and inflation have reduced the women's purchasing power, while government-funded programs aimed at increasing maternal nutrition have also been affected by the crisis. The research examined the impact of economic crisis on access to nutrition for pregnant and breastfeeding women, with a particular focus on women living below the poverty line in Colombo. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
In Washlai this morning, the health sector has requested the general public to pay attention to the cleanliness due to the spread of dengue with the onset of the rains. More attention should be focused on the government and private institutions as well as the schools and religious places. More than 53,000 dengue patients have been identified this year. The health sector has pointed out that 9,960 patients have been reported only in last month and 33 people have died from this menace so far. That came to you in Watchlight, and now let's move on to the headlines of the world news. Landslides and floods in South Korea leave at least 22 dead. European heatwave, red alerts issued to 16 Italian cities. Ukraine confirms Wagner mercenaries have arrived in Belarus. Those were the headlines, and now let's move on to the details of the world news. Rescuers in South Korea are struggling to reach cars trapped in a flooded tunnel following days of heavy rain. It is unclear how many people are trapped, but about 19 vehicles are reported to be in a tunnel in North Chungcheong province. Across the country, at least 26 people are now known to have been killed and another 10 are missing. Most of the fatalities were in the mountainous North Yeongjong region, where landslides swept away houses. Local media reported that almost 300 millimeters of rain fell across the country yesterday. Red alerts have been issued for 16 cities across Italy as extreme heat continues to affect the southern Europe. The alerts, which indicate risks even for healthy people, apply to tourist hotspots including Rome, Florence and Bologna for the coming days. The heat wave has already lasted longer than usual and nighttime temperatures have remained high. More high temperatures are expected in Europe next week as another heat wave approaches. Ukraine's border guard services has confirmed that Wagner mercenaries have now arrived in Belarus, then from neighboring Russia. The DPSU says that it is assessing how many militants are in Belarus, which also shares a border with Ukraine, as well as their exact locations and goals. One unconfirmed report said a convoy of about 60 Wagner vehicles rolled over the border into Belarus early on Saturday. In June, Wagner mutiny challenged President Vladimir Putin's authority. And that was the world news.
Development News is brought to you by
Vacancies for women from Deshakti Lanka for housemaids in Kuwait, Oman and Saudi Arabia for ages 23 to 58 years. Contact number 037 7500 500.
State Minister of Higher Education Dr. Suren Raghavan says the government aims to create a critical Sri Lankan who is a global citizen in a bid to find answers to the modern and futuristic problems. Internationalization of the country's higher education is a top priority of the government, the lawmaker said further, addressing a press conference in Colombo on Friday. He said the government wants to infuse international standards into the local universities in order to make them respected higher education institutions in the region, if not in the world, at least by the year 2030. That was the development news.
Vacancies for women from Deshakti Lanka for housekeepers, home cooks, caretakers and home nurses in Kuwait, Oman, Saudi Arabia and Singapore for ages 23 to 57 years. Salaries starting from 156,000 rupees. Interviews with foreign agents are now on. Come whether you have a passport or not. Branches, Colombo, Kurunagala, Anuradhapura and Matara. Contact number 037 7500 500.
Moving on to sports news, the first test of the two-test series between the visiting Pakistani team and the Sri Lanka team will commence at the Galle International Stadium from today. The two countries have played 57 tests so far. Out of them, Pakistan has won 21 tests and Sri Lanka 17 test matches. Pakistan is at the 6th place of the World Test Grading Index, while Sri Lanka has secured the 7th place of the index. That was the sports news. Business news coming up.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු ගීන හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all new NSB Ithru account NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
Business News sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Sri Lanka will allow the private sector to enter into ground handling, catering and jet fuel supply operations at the airports, and officials said. Director General of Civil Aviation P.A. Janakantha told the media that these services are currently a state monopoly. He said the government is in the process of inviting private parties to provide the above-mentioned services at Sri Lanka's international airports. That was the business news. Economic news follows.
Business News sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු ගීන හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all new NSB Ithru account NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
And now in economic news.
Sri Lanka has posted a primary surplus, that is deficit before interest costs, of 53 billion rupees up to May this year, compared to a deficit required under the International Monetary Fund program, supported by revenue measures and strict expenditure controls, the officials said. State Minister of Finance Ranjit Siamlapitiya said revenues and grants grew by 38.1% up to May. Sri Lanka had earned tax revenues of 1,029 billion rupees and non-tax revenues of 91 billion rupees, Director of Fiscal Policies Kapila Senanayake said. That is the economic news and the weather report to conclude.
Weather report.
And finally, the weather report. The Met Department says several spells of showers will occur in the western, Sabarkamur and northwestern provinces and in the Kandy, Nuwara Eliya, Galle and Matara districts. Showers or thunder showers may occur at a few places in the Uva and eastern provinces during the evening or night. And before we conclude this bulletin, let's get back to the headlines once again. The President will visit India on Thursday. The President to forego official events to celebrate the first anniversary in office. as Vesemir welfare benefits will be paid within this month. Digicon 2023, the Digital Master Plan and Regulatory Policy Framework, will take place from October to November. Applications for admissions of students to Grade 1 for the year 2024 in state schools are accepted at present. In news overseas, landslides and floods in South Korea leave at least 26 dead and 10 missing. And in sports news, the first test of the two-test series between Pakistan and Sri Lanka will commence in Galle from today. And with that, we conclude this bulletin of news. Now it's back to your regular Sunday morning host, our good friend Chandima on the other side of the glass panel to brighten up your day.